Hi, I'm Shivam,
Hi, I'm Izzy.
and this is PhoenixChat.
Where one of us can read.
Which one?
You find out.
So, hi, and welcome back to another episode of PhoenixChat. So, two quick things. So, first of all, sorry for getting this out pretty late. We recorded the first part, but then Izzy did and tried to murder me afterwards, so, was hospitalized for a little bit.
Yep.
So, what we're getting out to you now. Now that most of my bones have been reset.
For now.
For now. Yeah, and other quick thing, this is in fact part 2. We should have uploaded a part 1 a couple of days ago. We would highly recommend that you check out the part 1 to get the context for why we're talking about all of these things and why everyone in the party is, dead?
Or why everyone hates Shivam. Yay!
Yeah. But yeah, so getting right into it, this was the session where, like, I was so scared for, like,
You were scared?
I mean, yes. Because I, like, didn't know, like, I wanted it to be one of those things because, so, I guess starting off, why I decided for all of these things to happen is that Morgan came up to me with his backstory, and he kind of said, like, at the end of it, there was this, like, big, like, sci-fi kind of vibe to it. And especially with him, like, being, like, an inventor and everything like that, and a tinkerer, I definitely wanted, like, some kind of, like, sci-fi element to be in there. And so, like, I was going through, like, the things, like, what are the things that we can do, and, like, time travel. Time travel's the biggest one. And my original idea for this arc, honestly, was, like, a Majora's Mask sort of thing, where, like, the city, like, of Soliana, like, fell down to the ground, and, like, every single person was, like, defeated in the city. But, like, Morgan somehow just, like, went, like, back in time just before it happened. And so you guys have to keep, like, going through these loops just, like, over and over and over again in order to try and, like, fix things. But, like, that ended up being, like, really messy and complicated to implement because, like, I had to you have to basically make, like, a time clock of, like, events that would happen, like, in the city, and then I would also need to create, like, what events that you guys decided to do, and, like, create this, like, narrative structure around, like, you guys needing to, like, go through several loops before you're able to figure everything out. Yeah, it was just too messy and complicated, and also, like, if I introduced that and, like, the idea of you guys being able to meet your past selves and creating, like, paradoxes and shit, like...
Could you imagine Juliet meeting Juliet? Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, no. One of those Juliets would have murdered each other, created a time paradox, and fucking, like...
Destroyed everything.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You know what I could see, like, past and future Boondock doing? Like,
What,
just jamming out together because nobody else can sing their diddly dang freaking cowboy songs.
Yeah, I'm imagining the meeting where, like, both of them, like, tip the hat at each other, just the quiet howdy.
Oh my god.
Unfazed. Oh, man.
Sorry.
I think... Okay, so out of the party, though, so... Hops would probably be the one causing the most paradoxes and stuff like that.
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely, because Hops can now fucking shift planes.
Oh, God, but, like, I think Hops would absolutely be the character to, like, not understand and, like, oh, but, like, she's me. Like, she's either my friend or, like, this is a rival for my trash, and just,
oh my god.
Oh, God. Well, either way, it would have gone so bad.
I kind of want to see it now.
Yeah. And Essen probably would have, like, understood, but, like, the rest of you...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Good shit.
It's a choice. But yeah, so I decided to do, like, the other, like, time travel thing where it's, like, I needed some like reason you guys had to go back in time, and so I'm like, well, again, same thing. The city gets destroyed, and like bad things are happening. And the reason that I did like the specific thing of like the boss doc, was that I wanted it to be like you need to make issues personal to your players in order for them to like really make sure they're involved. That's my personal opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if I just did like the fall of like Soliana and stuff like that, and like you guys mostly getting people to safety, it's not imperative for you guys to go back in time and take like this big risk. I think with like one of like the player characters being lost in the future, it made it so that like basically like Morgan could choose to just keep going with this if he really wanted to, but like he didn't necessarily. He's pretty much like it was a bad choice if he didn't decide to go back in time.
Yeah. If he decided not to go back in time, what would you have done? Like,
yeah, so that's a valid choice. So we would have played things out, and that's the unfortunate part where I probably would have said, yeah, the characters who are gone need to make me new characters, and we pick up the pieces from here.
yikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Goddamn.
that's definitely a really scary part, because like I just would have respected that decision and like, okay, if you just want to keep going through there, I might have like probably had like an out of character sort of thing of like, okay, if you guys want to do it, that's your choice, but here's going to be the consequences for it, is that we need to make new characters. If everyone in the party is fine with that, then we can go on as is, but like if everyone wasn't cool, then like we need to
Man, all that fucking pre-planning work of my goddamn backstory would go down the drain and I would cry.
Oh man.
Big sad.
Yeah. Yeah, and so other things I did. Oh, if you're planning an arc like this, which is very dangerous territory, what I specifically made sure to do is I talked to Boondock's player, and I very specifically said in like no uncertain terms, like right before the arc, like, hey, there's going to be a part of the arc where Boondock might die for a little bit. And so I just want you to know, like, when that happens, it's going to be like a temporary sort of thing, and Boondock's going to be like brought back later. And the player kind of like he trusted me, and so like I gave him some more like information, stuff like that, just to make sure that like he was sorted and knew like he was like in on it for so it wasn't like this huge like shock. While keeping the rest of you guys like in the dark as much as possible. Oh man.
Big sad.
Yeah, so again, I'm not sure if we covered this last time, but what was your guys' reactions to like Bostock, and did you think there was any sort of possibility where like Boondock would have been lost after this fight?
So I didn't want to say I expected Bostock. I didn't think it would go that way. I thought it would go a different route somehow, but I knew that eventually the mark on Boondock would have come to bite us in the ass. So I expected that. I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't expect Boondock to like just full on be like, oh, you have no control of your body, get fucked, and you're like, okay, fuck us. I, honest to God, did not think Boondock was gonna survive that at all. I really had no hope for us to save him. Because we were so panicked, we had no idea what to do.
Yeah, no. I think that was the interesting part, is that you guys as players became so panicked during that fight, and like it was interesting because like you guys like characters then also made like poor panic decisions, and like it all tied. So again, moving into the fight, I was not planning for Julia and Essen to go down, but it was one of those things where it was like, because the time travel plot and everything like that, if Julia and Essen like are about to die, they're just going to die, and that's going to be it. There's no like mulligans, no like any sort of take backsies, nothing like that. If there's an opportunity to kill them, they're going to die.
Yeah, and they did.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Oh man. Yeah, no, just extremely, like, panicked decisions all around, and especially, like, because I also didn't give you guys, like, I normally try and give you guys, like, decent bouts of, like, direction and stuff like that, and try to remind you of abilities, or say, like, hey, here might be, like, a good idea for you to use this, or, like, use this ability that you haven't used in forever,
like a candy dodge.
Yeah, I gave you guys no guidance whatsoever, and, like, especially with, like, Boondock gone too, and, like, I feel like Boondock's players, the other players, like, hard, like, knows how to, like, all like the rules of D&D, and like most of your guys' abilities can lead you guys out of it. You guys only, like, the only person in the party who also could have helped you guys was Morgan.
But then Morgan got fucked too.
Yeah. So on top of all of this, when we did, like, the Bostock thing, so the only thing that I gave Boondock was I gave him some extra health, and he could use his Hellwalker form just permanently. He was just surrounded in, like, this fiery aura. His damage output was much weaker than, like, most monsters that you're, like, going up against. He was just kind of like this tanky, durable beast. Mm-hmm. But the scariest part, though, was with Morgan to Bostock, because Morgan can do the most amount of damage in the party from, like, a distance, and can very easily have, like, cut through Bostock's health and made it a joke of a fight. So as we were, like, and this is, like, Boondock's player and I were both, like, looking at Boondock's sheet and being like, okay, well, so what's the strategy going into this to, like, make sure this is as difficult as possible and as optimized as possible? We looked at a spell that they had prepared, and this was a spell they had chosen, like, way before this session, like the End of Hope's Landing sort of deal. Was the spell Enemies Abound, which causes Morgan to make an int save, which Morgan is not good at, or Morgan attacks randomly throughout all the possible targets every time they attack. I expected Morgan to get hit by it, and that to be extremely disruptive, because, like, you're basically, like, your main source of damage is gone, and as well as your main source of, like, damage is gone. The main source of damage is possibly hitting other members of the party, and also, like, after Boondock, I feel like Morgan's the other, like, extremely tactical player who knows, like, a lot of, like, what they're doing, and, like, in terms of, like, the rules and kind of, like, how to organize the group. And you guys just didn't have that resource either.
Yeah, we were kind of fucked. It's fine though, everything's fine. We're living now, kind of.
Yeah. By the way, oh god. Yeah, it was really, really, just so, like, downhill and disheartening to see. And I'm glad you guys, like, I'm glad you guys, like, at least allowed us all to play in that space without, like, holding too much of a grudge against me, he said, with all my broken, shattered bones.
I was gonna say, I don't want to hear it, Shivam. Come at me with my tiny hands. Catch him.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Moving on to Morgan's dad. So, tying that one in, I had that tied in, like, strongly from the beginning, where, like, I'm like, I need to do, like, something with the idea that, like, because not only is there, like, a sex reassignment surgery in there, you could also, like, change, like, your race, or, like, get, like, dark vision and stuff like that. And so, like, as I was looking at that, I realized, like, I could probably do something with, like, someone having the ability to change their race or something like that. So I decided to be, like, real cheeky about it with Dr. Taylor, and just, like, him looking like a gnome, because you guys did not suspect that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's like, wow, Morgan's a halfling. There's no way they're related at all. Huh.
Oh, God. And especially just, like, it was just this one-off character who, like, you guys kind of thought, like, oh, like, this is just a name. This isn't, like, anything important to the plot. Like, this NPC was just made to serve as Essen, and Essen's, like, current, story. This one could be any sort of relevant.
Boy, were we wrong.
Yeah, so sneaking that one in there especially because you guys had the expectation of like this is just an NPC to service Essen's story. It allowed me to just like hide this character in plain sight and like sow like the seeds and the hints in there to really fucking get you guys.
Yeah.
Man,
literally, I think I screamed. I was so mad. I was like, Dr. Weaver, that's bullshit. Oh my god, Dr. Taylor Weaver, I get it now. I'm like, you fucker.
Yeah, no, it was such a good, like, choice moment, especially with, like, Morgan raising the gun and just, like, are you my father? And just, like, the entire party quietly, like, screaming in the background.
We were just raging in the chat because like we didn't want to ruin this for Morgan's character, but all of us were like, "Whoa!"
Oh, it's so choice. But yeah, tying that one in was like the nice simple. You need some person in order to like send you back in time, and like Morgan's arc had to involve Morgan's dad in some way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah,
he needed to come to terms with the idea and like see his father like in person, kind of understand like, especially after the whole bit with like after the first session where he found out that his dad was involved in like dark necromancy experiments.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to come like face to face with his father at some point during that arc.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Character development at its finest.
I do feel sad though that the rest of the party wasn't able to also interact with Spencer. But like I don't know, like what you guys would have what like would you guys have done if like you could have interacted with Morgan's dad in that moment?
Well, I mean, honestly, knowing that he had some experiments with necromancy, which is highly illegal, Boondock would jump all over that shit. I think Essen would just be more curious than anything. Hops would just call him a pirate again, because, you know, he looks like a pirate. I don't really know how Juliet feels, because considering, like, she's a phantom rogue, she kind of, like, messes with death a lot more than people realize. Like, in the spirit world and whatnot.
I feel like what you do is, like, necromancy adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what he was doing was, like, illegal, horrible necromancy experiments. Yeah.
Yeah, but does she know that? No, she's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But eventually Morgan did decide to go back in time, thankfully. That was the part where I was really holding my breath on, was like, there's a chance that Morgan just, like, doesn't, especially with, like, his dad being corrupt and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Morgan did head back in time as the rest of you guys also, as soon as you, like, touched Morgan, realized everything that happened in the future. I was really debating whether or not Morgan would have to just talk to you guys, and there was no way that you could convince the party. But I'm like, nah, I don't think it's worth it to spend that much time with Morgan just, like, trying to, like, panic and explain to the party, like, what's going on.
That'd be harder, I think, for any of our characters, though, to, like, sit there panicked after watching every one of your party members die, see them again, and try to explain how they died. I think that'd be hard for anybody, not just Morgan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so I decided to go with the middle ground of, like, you guys needing, if you guys touched Morgan, then you guys would get the memories back. Because I think that was good enough, because, like, you tried to give the memories to Sprout as well, who was also there with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And Sprout didn't get, like, any sort of, like, memories or anything back. So, like, it's very tied to you guys, the party, and I think that works, like, really, really well, because I'm like, you guys need to devise, like, ways to talk to the NPCs and figure out how to explain, like, hey, one of my friends, like, was in the future for a little bit and saw, like, some horrible shit go down. Oh, man.
Yeah, but next episode we will talk about that, because we kind of did, and it was really awkward.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, and going back to the fight, do you want to talk a little bit about like the breakdown of the fight and like why it went so bad?
So we had no plan because it happened like all of a sudden, and we were like, "Holy shit, what do we do now?" So initially, I thought the dragons were gonna attack us on top of Boondock too, and I'm like, "Oh my god, we are going to die." But the dragons didn't attack us, so the dragons went to take down Soliana as a whole, and we're like, "Okay."
Yeah, this is actually worth noting because like the first choice that like you guys had to make at the start of the session was that either you need to try and save Boondock or you need to try and just go and like stop the dragons before they destroy Soliana.
Yeah, but I felt like all of us, for one, are so more attached to Boondock than we are the town of Soliana. Even though it's like saving people as a whole. But at the same time, it's like, what the fuck are we gonna do against two full-grown dragons? You know? So like, Boondock was a little bit more like palpable to tame.
Yeah, I kind of figured as much.
But we didn't have a plan.
No, none whatsoever.
None of us really talked about a plan.
Yeah, no, not even like in the moment. It was just like some very panicked directions giving out to everyone. I think with Juliet especially, like, I think you tried at first like, oh, like this is a mind control effect, so like I don't need to stop Boondock, I need to stop Legion.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, and that turned out really, really bad, as Legion not only, like, taunted you, but then, like, personally threatened people close to you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Not great.
Nope.
But the rest of the fight continued, and here was one of the real kickers, was that, Morgan got hit with the, Enemies Abound, and at the end of the turn, like, Morgan needs to make a save again. And like, all of you guys, like, fucking, like, hearts dropped as I said, like, nope, Morgan does not make a save at the end of his turn. Trying to figure out, like, what, because this is now on top of everything, you also had to figure out, like, okay, how do we break Morgan out of this mind control effect, too? And the way Enemies Abound works, is that, either A, you need to break the caster's concentration, which requires just slapping Boondock over and over again until he fails a constitution save, or B, anytime you slap Morgan, he would try to get to make another save again. And you guys tried to slap Boondock. I think like Hops tried to slap Boondock twice, and both times like Hops or Boondock succeeded on the save. What Hops then decided to do is just kind of say, like, okay, this just isn't working, period, then. I guess I'll just try with, like, Morgan, then. And after Hops started, like, attacking Morgan, first of all, the dice rolls were just absolutely really bad. Hops, like, crit on Morgan and do, like, a bunch of, like, damage and stuff like that. And, like, every time she hit, Morgan, like, has -1 intelligence and needed to make something like a DC, like, 16, 17 save, and just could not do that.
Yeah, it was a shit show.
Yeah, it was real bad. But eventually, like, Hops decides that she's just going to try and stunning strike Morgan, and by that point, like, you guys had done so many resources to try and, like, hit Morgan that I just, like, let you guys, like, technically speaking, you wouldn't have been able to even, like, stop the spell with the stun. But at that point, it was just, like, you spent, like, 4 key points, you've done, like, 30 damage to Morgan out of his, like, 80 health. I'll let you have this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan can't even take his next turn anyways because of the stun. I'll let you have this one.
Thank you. It's like, wow, you feel bad for beating the shit out of us and then killing us, you know?
Yeah. It's hard because, like, I wanted to, like, tell you guys, like, no, just keep focusing on Boondock and, like, eventually they're going to fail a concentration check. But I was maintaining, like, nope, like, whatever happens, happens. Like, they're making panic decisions in the moment. Let them make the panic decisions. Oh, God.
Shivam's in the back, just ripping his hair out.
Yeah. Truly. Yeah, you guys tried to fight Bostock for a little bit more after breaking Morgan out of the effect. And by the way, I also like talked with Boondock's player, and again, like, we had strategies prepared for like all of you guys.
Rude.
Yeah, for with Morgan, it was just hit him with enemies abound, and then just hope the spell lasts long enough for you to focus on the others. I believe for Essen, it was just grapple Essen and knock him prone because he's bad at acrobatics and athletics and just would get disadvantage in like every attack. And Bostock could just like start just wailing on Morgan.
Yeah.
With Juliet, I think it was similar, just like grapple so she can't get away, and then just like keep like attempting to just hit her over and over again. That, and also just like I think specifically use only Hellish Rebuke on Essen because like Juliet's really good at dexterity saving throws.
Oh yeah.
With Juliet, just fucking El Kabonger.
Yeah, and then I got fucking killed by Legion with a fucking shoe.
Oh god.
Cries.
But yeah, fucking Boondock knocked you prone and then eventually just like knocked you out. I will also note, like, during this is the one lifeline I tried to give you where it's like, do you have anything you want to do as a reaction to Boondock? And you were just like, just get hit, I guess. And I just kind of, my eye was like twitching, just like, okay, sure, Juliet goes down.
Bro, yo, I was so just panicked. Okay, leave me alone. I get it. I need to use Uncanny Dodge. Alright, I get it.
And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is fine, because Hop still has healing. And so, like, as long as Hops decides to heal Juliet, you guys might be able to get away with Juliet not fucking dying at the end of this fight. Because you guys were getting, like, Bostock pretty low. Like, a couple of more, like, good hits. As soon as Morgan was back up, Morgan could easily finish this. But Juliet goes down, and so Essen decides to call out, hey Hops, I need some healing, as Juliet is fucking, like, down.
And, like, I even tried to say something, and you were like, no, shut up, you're dead, and I was like, ah!
Yeah, and so, of course, like, Hops' player was like, yeah, Hops is extremely confused and concerned and panicked right now, so, like, if you're not going to... They were going to like try to like heal him. Like, should I heal or should I try to like hit Legion? And Essen was just like, oh, you hit Legion, I guess. As Julia again is still down, and so they decide to just walk up and like try to hit Legion. As Legion just once again like taunts them and is like, oh come on, like what do you actually think you can accomplish like against me here? As Hops decides to taunt Legion, and it was some choice fucking lines. It's basically like, if we're like so like insignificant to you, then how come you like spend so much time on us? And also like, if you're like so angry about like this whole thing, and like you wanted Boondock to feel the same anger that you did, how come you're doing it to other people? Like you're making Hops sad because of that. But like she finished off with the line of like, if we're so insignificant, why do you spend so much time on that? Why do you spend so much time on us? And I just kind of looked at Hops and I was like, okay, do you finish it with that last statement? And Hops player's like, yeah, I do. And so I'm like...
And all of us were like cringing on the inside.
Legion is going to take a step, and so Hops' player assumed, like, yeah, no, Legion's going to attack Hopscotch now. But I describe Legion is going to start taking steps towards Juliet.
Yeah.
As everyone's starting to kind of panic a little bit and be like, okay, this is bad. And gore warning for this next part, Legion walks over to Juliet, takes one of her high heels, and steps into Juliet's face and through her eyeball. There's a rule in D&D, if a player is down and an enemy is within 5 feet of them while making an attack, the attack counts automatically as a critical hit, which counts as 2 failed death saving throws. throws. And so I said to Izzy, yeah, mark off 2 failed death saving throws for Juliet. As everyone's kind of panicking, just kind of like, okay, like, we can heal her before her next turn, and we just need to make sure she doesn't fail her next death saving throw. As I say, Legion has a second attack.
And almost scream.
As Legion kills Juliet. As all of you guys just like, fuck, oh god. Yeah. I think the worst part is, like, as I described Legion walking over, Boondock's player made a joke like, oh, I wanted to kill Juliet. And then I described Legion actually killing Juliet, and Boondock's like, okay, that was a joke, I didn't mean it, I don't...
Yeah.
Also, unfortunate part, I drew an F on the turn before when you got knocked out on top of Juliet's token, because I'm like, she'll definitely be healed and brought back up. But then she wasn't, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kill Juliet, and like, ooh, this is going to be...
bad.
This is going to be really... Oh, man, I wouldn't have drawn the F if I had known!
Lies! You would have drawn it anyway!
Besides, like, the initial panic and just, like, the holy shit of it, like, did you have any sort of, like, reactions to the, you know, Julia
did I
being
have
young?
any sort of fucking reaction, Shivam? Let's see.
I mean,
I literally cried. I cried.
Oh,
Actual tears from my eyeballs.
oh god.
But at the same time, I kind of was like, yeah, she kind of deserved that.
And weren't you also saying too, like, at least Juliet got a badass death, like, that's the kind of death she'd want to have?
No, I wanted to be decapitated, but okay.
Next time, for sure.
Next time.
Oh god. Yeah, I think that was also the point where, like, everyone else realized, like, okay, stakes are extremely high and there's no fucking, like, Deus Ex Machinas to save us in this fight.
Yeah.
But fucking, like, after Legion's turn, it was Bostock's turn, and Bostock then cast Fireball, and that was the point where, like, everyone fucking rolled, like, natural ones, except for Legion, who rolled a nat 20 on the deck save.
Yep.
So fucking, like, Essen also went down, Morgan was at, like, 3 health, Hopscotch is just barely up 2. At this point, like, okay, everything has gone so far south that I'm just going to give Essen, like, a cinematic sort of, like, moment to lead him out. Yeah, I just kind of described, like, okay, like, Essen, like, you finish this, but, like, this is going to be, like, the last of, like, your life force is used in this final attack. And just giving Essen that, like, final stage. But yeah, no, I didn't plan either of those deaths whatsoever. And I felt really bad because, like, Essen's death ended up being more, like, dramatic almost, I want to say, because, like, Essen could have, like, this long narrative to describe, like, the last things that he was doing and stuff like that, and the incredibly sad moment of, like, as, like, he burns away, like, the last of his life force, like, him and Kieran form just, like, curls up around Juliet and everyone starts sobbing.
Yeah.
With Juliet, there was no, like, reaction that you were getting whatsoever. It was literally just... Because I wanted it to be just the shock value of just, like, yeah, if you guys aren't careful here, your fucking characters can be wiped out just like that. Yeah, I did feel kind of bad, though, you didn't get to have your little moment there.
I mean, it's fine. Everything worked out anyway. It's cool.
How about this, actually, like, as we're discussing it, if you had, like, you know, like, if you were up and, like, looking at Legion as Legion did the deed, what would you have done in that moment to have that dramatic send-off?
Well, I would flip her off for 1. 'Cause duh. For 2... I feel like her last words probably weren't "fuck you, bitch." I feel like her last words would be, I hope Yoongi ends you.
Ooh.
Ooh, I got fucking goosebumps. That'd be so good. God damn it.
Oh, man.
Speaking of, that would probably be my backup character in case Juliet decided to die.
But unfortunately, we can't explain much more about Yoongi right now.
Nope. Who's Yoongi? A mystery. Who knows?
We'll get there eventually. But Essen manages to defeat Bostock and drive away Legion as Legion runs away like a coward. And as like the entire fucking like building is on fire, yeah, all we have is Hopscotch and Morgan with Boondock in that final scene. And I definitely also talked to Boondock's player saying, like, if you want to make, like, this extremely big dramatic death to get, like, fucking everyone sobbing, let me know your ideas. I will do anything in my power that I need to make sure that I can help you out there. And they just basically said very, they were unspecific about it because they're basically like, yeah, I normally just kind of play Boondock and, like, I just get into character. I don't really plan anything out, so, like, we'll play it mostly by ear, but the only notes they gave me were, I want to play Wayfaring Stranger, which, by the way, if you haven't heard it, that song was playing throughout the death scene, and it was just, like, it was this extremely, like, depressing moment, but honestly, just like a beautiful tear-jerking song if you haven't heard it. We use the Poor Man's Poison version if you want to specifically listen to that one. But yeah, no, and Boondock decided that they were gonna call Ma. Yeah, and that one, I've been trying to like maintain like an out of character sort of like not jovial, but like my normal DM tone of like trying to maintain like the neutral sort of thing, but like playing Ma in that moment and like the sheer emotions, especially like the song build up, that was the one that got me extremely choked up.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm extremely proud of that moment and that scene because like it was poignant, and I think like that was like one of those moments where like we weren't like ourselves, like you were listening to Boondock and Ma talk, and just like every single one of you were just like hanging on to every single word that all of us were saying. And honestly, like my goal wasn't to make you guys suffer. It was to like get this kind of like extremely dramatic sort of scenes out of it, and those extremely poignant moments, and those extremely nice like good story like telling scenes, while also having the safety net of we're gonna go back in time, and so like we can have like the death scene without all of the death.
Christ.
Oh man. Yeah, do you have any other things you want to note here though?
So I'm trying to think, like, if Essen and Juliet and Boondock would have somehow managed to all survive, what would happen after that? Like, would you still have brought in the doctor, or like...
Yeah, so first of all, it would have been only Juliet and Essen surviving. It is a matter of fact that at the end of the fight, if you guys had like all survived, I was just going to have like Legion fucking just like start just hysterically laughing as she just like told you guys like, of course I didn't have any sort of like reason to keep Boondock alive. As she basically just said like he has 3 minutes left to live on this world, but go on, do as you please. I'm gonna go destroy the rest of the city, as Legion like teleported off, as all of you guys just like stood there kind of like shocked, trying to figure out like what to do with Boondock in their last moments. Yeah, it's definitely a very different scene that would have happened there. Again, like going back to it, so if like you guys had survived and realized at the end that like Boondock was never going to survive this night, is there anything like you as Juliet would have done for Boondock in that moment, especially knowing like this is the end for Boondock?
Shit. God, I don't know. Maybe like, oh shit. I guess she would, like, at least try to comfort him, saying, like, you know, you'll be with your pa, and, like, maybe sometime when I get stronger, or, like, not strong, well, I guess stronger is a good word, but when her powers develop more, I can try to talk to you in the other world, kind of thing. I feel like it'd be really, really hard for her to let go, because as much as Boondock and Juliet fight, they balance each other out so fucking well that it would just fucking tip the goddamn scales.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And especially, like, Juliet having to kind of carry that weight, especially, like, oh, man.
Oh, God, that hurty. I don't like to think about it. Let's just not. That's a sad idea.
It also definitely been one of those things, though, like, if Juliet and Essen had survived, I could have talked to Boondock's player at that point and said, like, well, we had the moment and stuff like that, and of course, like, we have, like, the ways to bring you back. Do you want there, though, to be, like, some sort of way where, like, maybe Boondock isn't brought back, and you just have to deal with, like, the rest of the arc as is? And that's probably what I would have, like, so that would have been a possible outcome, is that, like, if Juliet and Essen were still up, I might have come to Boondock's player and asked, like, is this the way you want Boondock to go out? Which I think would have been poignant for the party.
Yeah. Damn. That makes me think, though, if that really had happened, how would everybody else change for the rest of the campaign? Like, would Juliet still be, like, chaotic neutral? Or would she, like, turn good? Or, like, would Essen just become, like, an asshole? Like, there's so many what-ifs that could happen in this.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, like, where I was definitely, like, I would have been very interested in exploring it, but I also, like, wouldn't want to, like, ruin any of you guys' characters to spaces that you didn't want to, like, bring them to. But yeah. Anything else you want to cover about this this whole bit?
Nope. I think that's good that I know of.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna give, like, one last note then. So, if you're ever wanting to run something like this, by the way, with, like, the big dramatic character deaths and stuff like that, what we ended up doing was, like, we cut our session short. It would end up being, like, half as long, and I kind of felt bad about that because, like, the second half of the session was supposed to be, like, bringing people back and stuff like that, but it worked out infinitely better because we cut the session short after that moment. I think letting people grieve for their characters and stuff like that, and, like, deal with those, like, emotions kind of out of character a little bit too, I think that would end up working out for like, to the story's credit. And end up kind of giving you guys, like, that really big, like, emotional moment, just, like, dealing with all of that. Yeah, it's definitely one of the more controversial arcs that I've run. I'm both... I'm proud of moments and, like... also just feel extremely bad about other moments, but I think all in all it ended up working out for the better and telling it's a really great story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you again for listening to another episode of PhoenixChat, and a special thank you to our patrons. We have a Spicy Turntable, the Mod Goth, and Nyquil Dreamer. Your guys' support allows us to keep making content as well as make more and better content for you guys. If you are not a part of our Patreons, I'd recommend you check it out. We're posting updates about our new animatic series that hopefully should be coming out around near the end of summer or so. Making lots of progress on that. And yeah, Izzy, you have a fun fact to lead us out with?
Oh, wait, I want to add something. So, in case you didn't know, we are going to start streaming a different campaign called Mysteria on Twitch. You can find the Twitch handle in the description, Keeper of Kitsune. But yeah, that was it. Now I will have
check us out live Tuesdays 2:30 to 6:30 CST.
Okay, so fun fact: Morgan was trained in gunfighting, but is by his mom. However, his father is the one that trained him in tinkering. Yeah. PhoenixChat!